Welcome to the New Hampshire Retirement System's Employer Education presentation on audit topics for school districts and SAU. In this presentation, we'll go over enrollment and eligibility, earnable compensation, salary continuance for long-term and short-term disability, workers' compensation, service credit and service purchases, salary adjustments, common audit findings, working after retirement, termination forms, and other resources for employers. In order for an employee to be eligible for enrollment in the New Hampshire Retirement System, they must occupy a permanent full-time position, be regularly scheduled for 35 hours per week or more, or can be enrolled if their position is made by combining multiple employee positions within the same employer. Teachers are eligible for enrollment into the retirement system if they are in a teacher job class, are regularly scheduled 30 hours per week or more with the same employer. If they aren't regularly scheduled, if they have a cumulative minimum of 18 weeks during the school year, they may enroll in the 19th week. If they are in an equal job share teacher position, or if they occupy multiple teacher positions in the same job class within the same SAU. When should someone be enrolled as a teacher versus an employee? Someone should be enrolled as a teacher if they are certified and working in a teaching position or as a librarian, are not yet certified but hired for a teaching position pursuant to an alternative certification protocol under Department of Education administrative rules, are employed in non-teaching professional positions and required to be certified pursuant to DOE or the school district, are a staff member required to hold a professional license. Someone should be enrolled as an employee if they are superintendents, assistant superintendents, paraprofessionals, administrative support staff, or administrators and professionals not required to be certified. Employers should send an enrollment form to NHRS when a new hire meets the minimum participation standards for enrollment, when a member returns to work after a period of 180 days, when a member begins a new position that is in a different group or class option, for example, an employee member becomes a teacher. Earnable compensation is the compensation that NHRS can use when calculating a member's average final salary, or AFC. Prior to August 29, 2008, all compensation that the member earned was considered to be earnable compensation. After House Bill 1645 passed, the definition of earnable compensation changed to include the full base rate of compensation, plus the other types of compensation specifically listed in the statute. If the member's compensation is not part of their base compensation and not specifically listed in the statute, it is not considered earnable compensation. When House Bill 2 passed in 2011, the definition of earnable compensation was changed again. Now its definition stated that earnable compensation shall mean the full base rate of compensation paid as determined by the employer. There were also two different definitions based on whether a member was vested prior to January 2012 or not. The differences can be found in the statute. We encourage employers to reference the NHRS Interpretive Memoranda. The Interpretive Memoranda is intended to serve as a guide to employers, includes responses to factual situations that have arisen, and some guides contain broader discussions of general ideas. It can be accessed via the link on this slide or by visiting the NHRS website. Are summer school wages reportable? If the teacher or paraprofessional works during the summer for a school district which they are not employed by until school commences, these wages are not reportable. If the teacher or paraprofessional works during the summer for a district which they are employed full-time during the previous school year, these wages are reportable as compensation over base salary, COB. If the wages qualify as additional pay for extracurricular or instructional activities, they must be reported as COB. Interpretive Memoranda 2015-1 provides guidance on base compensation. Normal work week or work shifts, vacation days, sick days, floating holidays, and comp time used in place of a regular work week or shift is considered as base compensation. Although employers have general discretion to determine what is considered base compensation, NHRS has the right to make the final administrative determination. When it comes to a stipend, employers may designate it as base compensation. If it's not part of base and doesn't qualify otherwise, then the stipend is not reportable. NHRS is more likely to agree that the stipend falls into base compensation if the amount is known at the beginning of the year, the stipend is designated as base for all employees who receive it, or if details are in a collective bargaining agreement, separate agreement or contract between the member and the employer, or is memorialized in a policy or handbook. Discretionary bonuses or merit pay are not base compensation and therefore are not considered as earnable compensation. Incentive bonuses and pay for performance are discretionary, and it is not known at the beginning of the year who will receive this type of bonus. Typically, compensation calculated and/or awarded as a percentage of base salary is not base compensation. This slide shows what is considered as compensation over base for members who were in service prior to July 1, 2011, but not vested before January 1, 2012. These examples include overtime, cost of living bonuses, annual longevity pay, extra and special duty pay for Group 2 members, and so on. There are specific exclusions from earnable compensation for members not vested prior to January 1, 2012. These include pay for unused sick and vacation time, incentives to encourage members to retire, end of career longevity pay, and severance pay, which is additional compensation paid at termination of employment for prior services rendered, is considered earnable compensation only for members vested prior to January 1, 2012. Additional compensation paid pursuant to settlement agreements resolving employment disputes is not considered earnable compensation unless clearly identified as back pay attributable to a period of employment. Please report compensation and provide a copy of the settlement agreement. Send through secure email to heather.fritzky@nhrs.org at least 1 day prior to finalization. If found ineligible, NHRS will refund the contribution. Additional pay for extracurricular and instructional activities. These wages are reportable to NHRS as compensation over base salary for teachers, paraprofessionals, and support staff. NHRS will accept employer's designation subject to 4 exceptions. The compensation cannot be for educational accomplishment, pay level, or seniority. The compensation cannot be for services or activities such as maintenance, which are typically not performed by these positions, and is more in the nature of part-time duties. The compensation is not paid for activities involving adult education other than GED courses. The compensation is for activities that are wholly unrelated to the teaching or educational process. For example, conducting weight loss classes for other teachers, extra pay for bus or lunch duty, services relating to labor management or CBA activities. These are earnable compensation only if the employer considers them to be part of base salary. NHRS accepts designation of some pay types, which may not directly involve students, but are supportive of the general education mission. For example, mentoring, curriculum development, team leader, school in need of improvement, Common Core, evaluation committee. Holiday pay or earning extra pay for working on a holiday is covered in Interpretive Memoranda 2015-3. It should be reported as compensation over base. Please note that a paid day off for a holiday recognized by the employer is reported as base salary, not compensation over base. Some employers document in a collective bargaining agreement or policy that they pay a fixed amount for all holidays, whether the employee works or not. This is not reportable if it is not considered part of the base salary. If not used, floating holidays become pay for unused leave and are not reportable for members who were not vested prior to January 1, 2012 unless considered part of base salary. When compensating a member for unused sick leave, there are two ways it can be reported. If the member converts payment to time off and the member uses the leave time, it would be reported as base salary for all and considered vacation pay. If the member converts payment to time off but does not use it and instead gets paid out for their leave time, it would be considered pay for unused vacation and would only be reported for members vested prior to January 1, 2012. An annual attendance bonus or stipend is paid pursuant to a collective bargaining agreement, personnel policy, or other agreement applicable to substantially all employees. The amount is determined by reference to the amount of sick days an employee used in the calendar or fiscal year. Please note that this is not retroactive. What annual attendance bonuses or stipends are reportable? Cash payments are reportable as base pay for members vested prior to January 1, 2012. For all other members, they are reportable as compensation over base pay. Extra days awarded and used are considered vacation pay and reportable as base salary for all. Extra days awarded and later cashed in are considered pay for unused vacation. These days are only reportable for members vested prior to January 1, 2012. Compensation paid under a salary continuance plan is earnable compensation to the extent funded by the employer. The employer must submit a salary continuance form monthly and report salary continuance wages. They must continue reporting until the earlier of such time as the member dies, retires, returns to work, is no longer compensated by the plan, or the member is no longer employed by the employer. Member is considered in service and accrues service credit once both shares are. Contributions are not reportable on weekly workers' compensation benefits or lump sum settlements paid to members. Supplemental pay paid by the employer is reported as compensation over base to NHRS. If leave time is used as a supplement, reported as base salary. Members may request up to 1 year of service by submitting a Department of Labor first and last memo of payment to NHRS. Eligible members have the option to purchase additional service credit. Employers play a role in some, but not all, service purchase scenarios. Employer enrollment oversight is when an employee was not enrolled in the retirement system at the time of initial eligibility through no fault of their own. This means that contributions are not initially reported to NHRS. The member may petition for loss of service. Note that there is a 3-year statute of limitation which may be waived. The employer pays contributions based on earnable compensation during the oversight period multiplied by the current employer contribution rate. The member pays contributions based on earnable compensation during the oversight period multiplied by the member contribution rate at the time of the oversight. The member may pay in annual installments up to 6 years, but the employer must pay in a lump sum. Rollovers from 403B or 457 plans are allowed. Members working in probationary or temporary positions may be eligible to purchase that service credit. A minimum of 6 months must be purchased at the full actuarial cost of service credit. This cost is paid for by the member and there is no employer cost. Rollovers from 403B and 457 plans are allowed. Modification service is full-time service rendered by an employee prior to the employer's election to participate with NHRS for its employees. The member has the option to purchase prior full-time service if they enroll in NHRS within 1 year of the employer's effective date of participation. The employer may purchase the service for the employee. Full or partial purchase of service is permitted. There is no minimum. The cost to purchase the service is the full actuarial cost of the service credit. Rollovers from 403B and 457 plans are allowed when purchasing this service. Other service available includes previously withdrawn service, active military service, prior military service, Peace Corps or AmeriCorps, or workers' compensation. Please visit the NHRS website for more information on purchasing service. Salary adjustments are needed when a member has been enrolled but the employer failed to report the member's proper wages and contributions. The cost equals the amount of compensation not reported times the applicable contribution rate at the time it should have been reported plus interest. The member and the employer pay their respective share prior to the member's retirement. Rollovers from 403B or 457 plans are not allowed for salary adjustments. Some common audit findings include teacher development pay. If it is included in the contract, report it as base salary. If it is not, report it as compensation over base. This is reportable for teacher members only. Teacher members, who must hold appropriate certification or licensure, or, if not fully certified, hired for a teaching position pursuant to an alternative certification protocol under DOE administrative rules. Overtime pay, which must be reported as compensation over base, even overtime paid at a straight time rate. On-call pay. If this is not considered base salary by the employer, then it is not reportable to NHRS. Additional part-time duties. These must be considered part of the member's base salary or qualify otherwise within the definition of earnable compensation. Retiree reporting, effective 1/1/2019. Employers must only report actual hours worked. Do not report hours related to holiday, sick, or vacation. Please be sure to report all compensation. This includes pay related to holiday, sick, or vacation. If a retiree wishes to work after retirement, there are specific rules they must follow. A retiree may work for any non-NHRS employer with no restrictions. However, they may not occupy a full-time NHRS-covered position and still receive a pension. Retirees working part-time for participating employers may work a total of 1,352 hours per calendar year. The annual hourly limit for grandfathered retirees is set at 1,664 hours per calendar year. There is a 28-day separation of service requirement for new retirees, where they must wait 28 days from their effective date of retirement before they can begin part-time work with an NHRS-covered employer. If a retiree exceeds the statutory limits on annual hours worked, they will see an offset of the state portion of their annuity for 12 months. There is no employer penalty if a retiree exceeds their annual hourly limit. If a disability retiree wishes to work after retirement, please contact the NHRS Audit Team at 410-3681 for details. To read FAQs on working after retirement, see the NHRS website. When reporting retirees to NHRS, employers have two annual tasks, both due each year by February 15th. Report retirees' hours and compensation. If an employer does not have any retirees working for them, they must also report this information. And review their grandfathered lists to verify that retirees remain in the same position held on January 1, 2019. If annual retiree reporting is late, there is a penalty of $25 per day. Please note, if you realize you've made a mistake after completing your retiree reporting, you must contact NHRS. For instructions on how to report retirees or how to review your grandfathered list, please visit the NHRS website. There are different notice of termination forms for employers to fill out depending on position classification, vested status, and whether or not the form is for a deceased member. With the exception of deceased member forms, employers may obtain the forms from the NHRS website or by contacting the Member Benefits Department at 410-3677. Instructions on how to fill out notice of termination forms are also available on the NHRS website. We wanted to add this slide as a reminder of the ways you can protect yourself and your office from cyber threats. Always be wary of suspicious emails. If you receive an email from NHRS that is unexpected or not of the ordinary, you can call our office to confirm that it came from us. Use strong passwords and update them regularly. Please do not share your DRS login information with anyone in your office. Every person who needs to access the DRS for their job should have their own username and password. You can contact NHRS to add a DRS user Or if you have an employee with DRS access who leaves his or her position, let us know. Please encrypt emails that contain personal information. Many emails we receive from employers contain names, social security numbers, addresses, and other sensitive information. NHRS uses Zix email encryption to send secure emails. If you don't already use an email encryption service, you can sign up for a Zix account straight from the NHRS website. At the bottom of every page in the footer of our site, you'll see a button called Secure Message Center, and you can follow the instructions from there. We have many great resources on our website for employers. If you have any questions about the DRS or reporting, a great place to start is our Employer Resources page. There you'll find step-by-step instructions for clearing some common exceptions, signing up for NHRS Quick Pay, and resources for HR or personnel staff. From that page, you can also access an additional page geared towards those who are new to the reporting process. We also have narrated PowerPoint presentations that you can access on our education page. These presentations include some specifically catered to employers, as well as benefit presentations and general information about the retirement system. We have a multitude of FAQs on our website with topics for employers, members, and retirees. You can also download NHRS forms, including all of the forms employers will need to enroll a new employee. If you haven't done so already, you can also check out our NHRS Now You Know page, where we have documents that address common questions or misconceptions that people have about the retirement system. This could be a great page to point employees to if they have questions about NHRS. If you're not already receiving emails from NHRS, you can sign up for our email list from the subscribe button at the bottom of every page of our website. When you sign up, you can elect to receive only employer emails, employer member and retiree emails, or any combination. We also want to make sure employers are aware of our interpretive memoranda. This is a great resource as a guide for employers with earnable compensation questions. The interpretive memos are available off of the Employer Resources page. If you have questions in the future, this slide provides you with employer contact information such as who to call for, employer compliance and audits, reporting exceptions and retiree reporting, employer reconciliation, insurance, member accounts, and DRS support. NHRS has recently partnered with Citizens Bank to establish Quick Pay, a service which makes sending contributions via ACH very easy. Since this service launched in November, dozens of employers have taken advantage of it. We've listed some of the benefits of ACH. Payments can be scheduled online and in advance. It's safe, secure, convenient, and it's free. You can learn more about NHRS Quick Pay by following the link shown on the